In politics, as in anything, you're always glad to have the win, and I think Republicans are happy for that. But I also think you have to put it in the broader context. This is the equivalent of beating the Cleveland Browns on a one-point last-minute Hail Mary pass, and then thinking you're going to do okay going up against the New England Patriots. It's just a very different context in these races that are going to decide control of the House. And this race was not a good sign for that.
So, John Harwood, the GOP gets to declare victory. I suppose the Democrats in this case get to declare moral victory.
I guess so. Look, it hasn't been called yet. I think it is pretty likely that Troy Balderson is going to win, given the number of ballots that are outstanding. But generally, as Shawn said, and he and I were talking about this yesterday over text messages, this is an environment in which the historic boost that the out party gets, because midterm elections vent discontent with an incumbent president, is magnified because of how Donald Trump has polarized the country, has changed the GOP, and has become the most unpopular president in a first midterm election since Jimmy Carter. He's minus 13. The Gallup poll this week, 41 approve, 54% disapprove. No president has had a disapprove level that high since Jimmy Carter, and that is why Republicans have a big burden to carry, especially given the way he's changed the Republican Party in districts like this one that have a large proportion of college-educated voters. In our NBC Wall Street Journal poll recently, we found that 60% of the people who call themselves Republicans are now whites who have not gone to college. So when you have these more affluent, more educated suburban districts, Republicans are going to struggle.
Stephen, what do you think? I mean, the fact that Ohio's district, the 12th congressional district, the race is too close to call, is that enough to give Democrats some energy to re-energize their base ahead of some key elections in Arizona and Florida in late August?
If this were the only data point that we had, it would be easier for Republicans to write off as sort of a one-off, but it's not. We have Democrats winning special elections in Pennsylvania and Alabama over the past 9 months. You have other Democratic near misses in districts in Georgia, in South Carolina, in Montana, in Kansas, all solidly Republican districts, all were close races. Each special election, they tend to be very unique, but taken together, I think the picture is pretty clear that the energy right now in American politics, as we've seen in other midterm elections, when the party's out of power, is on the Democratic side.
Obviously. Shawn, go ahead, Shawn.
Shawn Trende, I have an interesting, I see in your notes here that you point out in the district there, in District 12 in Ohio, that the Republican Balderson's commercials tended to feature Governor Kasich where they didn't feature President Trump. So what's he running on? Is it a popularity contest, or what are the issues that he's running on right now?
Yeah, it wasn't a very issue-heavy campaign. Danny O'Connor was running on both parties needing new leadership, kind of hinting that he wouldn't vote for Pelosi. Balderson was trying to convey by having commercials featuring Kasich, hey, I'm not really a Trumpy candidate, trying to keep these Republican suburbs in Republican hands. So this wasn't a great battle of ideologies. This was kind of both parties trying to convince swing suburbanites that they're more like them personally.
Stephen, let's turn out to Washington, which I think both you and Shawn point to, Washington State that is, as very interesting results and interesting contests. Why and what happened?
Well, Washington State, like California, they have that all-party top two primary. The top two finishers, regardless of party, advance to the general election. And you can see the partisan vote share in each district. And there are 3 Republican-held congressional districts where I think that the results will raise some alarm bells in the GOP. The 3rd district, the 5th district, and the 8th, which we always thought was going to be a battleground. Republican vote share is either a little under or a little over 50%. If Democrats get the turnout they need in November, it's possible that once these matchups become, rather than all the candidates together, a head-to-head battle between a Republican and a Democrat, that we might see some races, especially in the 3rd and the 5th district that have been held by Republicans for a long time, come on the battlefield and be additional pickup opportunities as Democrats seek the 23 seats they need to regain the House.
John Harwood, do you want to get in?
Well, I was going to say, Dem seat 23 seats to turn the House. John Harwood, that would essentially create gridlock in Washington. So financial markets may not actually be happy with that result.
Well, it depends on whether they want more legislation or not. But look, I think financial markets, if they're making a bet on the basis of what we know now, they need to bet on the likelihood that Democrats are going to control the House of Representatives. We don't know about the Senate. Shawn recently assessed the odds at 50-50. Yesterday he told me he thought maybe that was a little too high for the Democrats. But in any case, they've got a shot. If they take the House, that means investigations of President Trump. That means roadblocking the president's legislative agenda. That means potentially impeachment proceedings. If they take the Senate, that means that you have a Democratic veto potentially over appointments to the cabinet and to the court. So this is very consequential for American business and for everyone who is watching this program right now. And Dave Wasserman, who is an expert on House elections at the Cook Political Report, said last night's results reinforced his view that Democrats have a two out of three chance of winning the House in November. That's going to be a big deal if that happens.